Well, hello everybody, and welcome back into the Bear's Den for the beginning of our look at the Sunday Around the Gardens kind of video. I figured since we missed it this week, I might as well give you a quick update on what's going on up here. And I figured I'd bring you along because I have to make a rather painful change to what's going on in the Arrow Garden, I think. But yeah, you know me, I like feedback on these things. And then of course we'll wander outside where, being Sunday, the wind has picked up a little bit, but hopefully we have some very positive changes coming in the future there. So yeah, let's just ride it out and see how it goes. Well, first and foremost, I guess we have my little makeshift tent here out of those reflective insulated bags from work. I have transplanted some of them. The orange habanero is not the mightiest looking pepper here by far. I think this Trinidad Scorpion Butch T Red, probably the nicest that's gotten transplanted. Some very nice leaves on there. So I'm very hopeful to keep this one in the jungle. Everything you see here is going to be staying in the jungle. That orange hab is staying. This Caribbean Red, let's pull this out a little bit. This definitely needs to be transplanted soon, but I've only got so much potting soil left. And I also need to transplant this one, which I think for some reason I'm feeling it's a higher priority. It's got a lot more living plant to support, so I think it's going to go first. Got the bad brains over there, looking a little bit better since I've transplanted it, but I've had some success with these setups, and yeah, those are enamel wear plates you see under that one. I like the idea. These little ones, they're the right size and, you know, everything in its place, but I like having more room to pour into the base of the larger enamelware plates. So as I continue to forage in secondhand shops and collect those, I'm probably going to replace those. But still, you know, it's kind of nice to see the plants have a little room to grow around them. It's definitely going to be nice for them to have some area for their roots to grow. And it's going to be time to lift these lights up soon, I think. So that will be delightful. I think it was the Trinidad Scorpion Butch Tea here that I saw some flower starts on. So that's kind of super exciting. I mean, terrifying at the same time, right? Those are not sweet peppers we're talking about there. The orange habanero would be, I guess, the sweet pepper in all this, but yeah, very, very exciting. Terrifyingly exciting. So that is what's going on with the beginning of the pepper jungle, but up in the seed tray, which, you know, still needs to be cleaned, and I've actually run out of pods, so I've got kind of an empty spot over there, but here we have some of the Bootla clamshell peppers that did sprout up well for me, so this is going to be one of the next transplants out. And those, I believe, are Bootla scorpion peppers, so I'm going to be transplanting those out. The jungle itself is going to continue to expand, but I am still thinking very much towards using the 6-pod top for this, reducing the numbers, maybe planting one of each variety at a time, because I'm not going to be able to put out peppers, you know, again, for several months. So yeah, need to slow down on that a little bit. This Thai basil looks really ragged because I'm constantly forgetting to water it, but it's still surviving. Doing a pretty good job. I'm constantly clipping the tops off of it and throwing these littler leaves into like egg salads and such. Fabulous. I'll take the larger leaves and just kind of layer them on cheese in a sandwich, and that's pretty darn good too. Here we can see in this is the elite, I guess, version. I moved the orange habanero over to this. I know I'd said that this garden was only going to feed this one pepper, but this corner just looks so empty. And this pepper, you know, look at this plant. So many little starts on there. But I'll move the basil, and you can see on the shelf what's happening to all of those starts. They're not making it. I have yet to spot a solid little pepper balm on the beginning of all this, or, you know, anywhere on this plant. Kind of got a bit of an issue with light though, because this thing here is kind of stealing it all. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to cut it way down and hope it'll sprout out. I don't know, any feedback there? But we're gonna cut it now and see, right? So yeah, I guess I should go grab the clippers and get right back to you. Alright, so that is a huge branch of pepper plant that I just took off. That cutting is bigger than most of my plants outside will ever get to be, which is kind of a sad statement. But we're throwing a lot more light onto this, like the rest of this plant now, and I'm hoping reducing the flower numbers on here and adding to the light will give me a better chance at getting some actual peppers out of this, because that's the end game. That's the point of this, right? I want some peppers. Got to try these bad brains. So yeah, any thoughts on that? I was also toying with the idea of transplanting this beautiful monster into one of those larger green pots, but I just don't know. I'm not sure it could handle the move. So yeah, feel free to throw any thoughts on that one too. Anywho, I will probably come back up to deal with you later, but let us head outside and see what's growing on out there. Again, I apologize for the wind, but there are changes coming, so yeah, bear with me. So as some of you know, my little camcorder has been on the slow march towards death for quite some time. Today, oddly enough being Sunday, you gotta love this new technological world we live in, I finally found a little camera that I figure is worth the price. It's got an external mic that hopefully will calm down the wind on the microphone, and yeah, it should be a much better deal all the way around. So those of you who have stuck with me with this probably 6-year-old Handycam, I appreciate your patience, and it is finally being rewarded. We are finally upgrading, so now it's just a matter of hoping that my computer can actually deal with processing all that. But yeah, baby steps, one thing at a time, right? So let's go take a look at the berry patch, where I am pleased to share that a bunch of raspberries miraculously appeared. No miracle, just the kindness of neighbors, really. A gentleman who lives in town that I work with at the hog barn was talking about raspberries, said he'd be happy to give me a whole bunch, and then tap, tap, tap at the door, big old bag of raspberries. So threw them in the ground here where I was going to put those hazel bushes, and I guess we'll just extend the bunker build on down. It's not like we ran out of fence line, I just kind of ran out of sod at the moment there, and carry on with the nuts further on. But what a beautiful collection of raspberries. Thrilled to have those around. He kind of recommended that I trim them down, but at the same time kind of offhanded suggested that if I didn't, there's a chance they might fruit. So y'all know me, I'm just leaving them at nature will decide, and we'll take it from there. So far though, my most recent sod construction here seems to be holding up. That's good. Put a whole bunch of that compost from in the chicken run that spent the winter with them in there. I figure even if it does have a lot of nitrogen and it kind of results in more growth and no berries, that's still good for the long run, ultimately. That's about it for the berry patch though. These hawthorns beside did not look like they survived the winter. The gooseberries or the goji berries got pulled up because they definitely didn't survive the winter. That's kind of tragic. Over here we've got the onion patch. I did dig out some of this, you can tell from the pile of dead grasses there. Got this choke cherry. This is just bunkered right in. But even with all of these tall grasses that they blend in with so well for the camera, the onions themselves are doing pretty well. Should be forming their tops fairly soon, and it's not showing up at the moment. Well, I guess that cluster's showing up once you get deeper into the patch. There are actually quite a few of these onion clusters that somehow survive through the abuse of no weeding and these heavy grasses that they grow up in. So I think it's some maple. This is gonna have to go. Oh well, one thing at a time. Always something to do in the gardens, isn't there? Speaking of, I have made no progress on the chaos garden here, but the chickens are benefiting from that because I'm pulling up, you know, dandelions by the handful and taking it to them. We've got some sprouts over in that first bed, but let's start off by the cherry tree here, covered in blossoms so recently. And now, if we look, there are little balls forming behind a few of these older blossoms. So I am hopeful that means they are forming cherries. Time will tell. Oh, see now, here we go, look at that. Can you see that? That looks like the beginning of a cherry to me. Oh, enter a very excited bear. Oh yeah. There's another bigger one up there. Very exciting. Alright, and I thought I had killed this thing before it eventually got planted, so this also got a nice heaping pile of the compost from the chicken run. Good for suppressing the grass at any rate. Hopefully I haven't screwed up its chance to shoot or give us fruit, but again, if I did, then it's just going to grow better. But yeah, looks like we've got production going on there. Speaking of production, we'll pan back over to the chaos garden. Clearly I haven't brought the cabbages out for the middle stripe here yet, but let's look at how well those sunflowers are doing. A lot of little patches. I mean, I did 4 by 4. We got 4 coming up in the back row, 4 coming up in the second row, at least 2 in the third row, and only 1 from the front row. But I guess I can take that one downstairs that I've got sprouted, plant it somewhere in the front. It'll just kind of blend right in. We look over here, we've got 2 definite pumpkin starts, which is fantastic. You'd think from the spacing that I did 3, but I'm pretty sure I only did 2, so I don't know why I left so much bare space there. That's, yeah, having a moment, I guess. But anyway, that is really exciting. Hoping to see some real good development from that as the summer goes along. Got a lot of stuff popping up here, but I'm having difficulty identifying any actual lines of Swiss chard in here, so just gonna have to let it grow and see what comes of it. Pretty sure it's not this speckly green stuff that's covering everything. But yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna let it grow, see what grows. Strawberries seem to be bunkering in and surviving. The one pineberry starting to throw off a couple of runners, so that's gonna be at least a few more strawberries for next year. This will be great as years go on because I'm gonna let it kind of take over where I've currently got the chard there and fill it up a little bit more, you know? Yes, add to it and expand it, and gardens are always in motion. Stepping forward, got the carrot and the radish patch doing really, really well. I'm gonna come down here, take a closer look though. We've got something called flea beetles out here, also known as radish beetles or canola beetles, because they get into the leaves and they do so much damage to these poor seedlings that I will ultimately be surprised if we get much of a radish harvest out of this at all. But they don't seem to mess with the corn too bad, so, or the corn I should say. Well, they don't mess with the corn at all, but that's a different garden bed. With the carrots too bad. So ultimately that's what this is, and you can see we've got carrots coming up here looking like a gentle row of grass, and we've got carrots coming up there. We move along a little bit. Here's a really good example. You can see the carrots coming up in amongst the radishes. So it's going to be an interesting year for this bed. That's fairly exciting. And I'm not sure if I showed you the rhubarb last week, so let's pop over there. Strange little rhubarb bed, and this was a rhubarb seedling that Shocks found in the side yard, and then we transplanted it to actually over in the onion bed initially. Didn't do very well, thought I killed it there. Transplanted it over here, where again I thought I killed it, but it's coming back fairly well this year. Seems to have almost split off in the base. I don't know if you guys are seeing that, but I'm excited by that because people around here have just massive beds of glorious rhubarb, and I want to be one of those people. I like rhubarb. Rhubarb pie, rhubarb pie. So rhubarb and strawberries, right? Or field berries, but strawberries. So, yeah, 1 second. So while I was out mowing the lawn in the area that was the tomato grove last year, if you look, we can see all of these leaves and plants that look remarkably like little strawberry plants. So I've kind of fenced them off with some branches that are of course lying around, and I'm letting them grow this year to see if they develop any sort of fruit. Because if nature wants to give me a strawberry patch, I'll take it, you know. But if it's not actually productive, then I'll probably just mow it down. Here it kind of looks like whatever's gonna happen to the flowers has already happened. So potentially we've got some, I don't know, wild strawberries there, leftovers from a previous garden, but there are quite a few of them, and they make kind of an interesting starfish pattern. So it's a bit of a pain to mow around. Some will get sacrificed with the next cutting of the lawn, but such is life. Still a very interesting thing to find kind of popping up. Let's get back to the proper garden. And over in the proper garden, I have more implements of sod destruction. I have cubed up a bunch of chunks here for an area beside the main garden beds that hopefully over the course of the next week I will run through the screen, and I'll either put the peppers here because I still haven't dug that other bed out yet, or maybe I'll finally get around to bringing up the tomatoes, the cabbage, planting some cucumbers. I still haven't planted peas anywhere. There's lots of options for things that I really should be filling this space with. But over here, in the sister's garden, we already have bean sprouts. That's those painted lady runner beans. These look remarkably like maybe stray radishes from the ones that went to seed last year. Be very interesting to see what comes of those. They are all over the place though. And look, more pumpkins. 2 out of the 3. Oh, look at that. That is, since I checked this morning, 3 out of the 3 pumpkin patches in this garden bed are now producing. And look at all those little spots of green. This is easily the most productive row of corn, but the others are slowly starting to catch up, and it goes all the way to the end. So that is working out surprisingly well. I'm hoping these other 3 rows will fill in, you know, as much as that first one. And I'm not quite sure why it's doing so much better, but it looks like this espresso corn will have been a good choice. Just gonna have to wait the season out and see. But out of these bean plantings, right, we've got that first one, there's another one, looks like that one is just coming up, got one just there, got one just there. So I probably should have waited a week or 2 on the beans so that the corn would be there for them to climb up. You know, not the first time I've kind of messed up a basic gardening technique, but we will figure something out. There are always branches and poles and PVC pipes I can build on, and pieces of fencing. There's always something around here. The bunker garden has received her peppers for the year. We've got 2 Caribbean red habaneros on this side. Looks like this one on the end is doing quite well, seems to be keeping its flower buds, so that is good. This one beside it seems to be taking a little bit more damage, but its flowers are open and the top is green and alive. I'll have to keep an eye on that as we carry on. And we've got lemon habs beside it here. And this one again being towards the middle of the garden, we've got a little discoloration, but some open flowers, some expired flowers. And in this one on the end of the garden, looking much better. So, I was toying with super hots, but they're all so tiny compared to these habaneros from the Aero Garden starts. So, I just decided to throw these in here because this year the keyword is production. Yeah, ideally anyway. Those potato beds I set up last year are kind of a failure to launch situation, But we've talked about maybe dumping this one onto this one so that I can expand the new garden patch I'm digging up all the way to the end of the bunker, so it's kind of the length of the whole garden patch. I know all these little patches we're doing are kind of different, but at the same time I'm trying to kind of tie them in at the beginning and end of everything here. Plus that gives me the opportunity, if you see that brown spot, that is a really weird lump in the yard that kind of seems to be getting taller over the last couple of years. So I've been dying to dig there and find out, you know, just what is going on. So that'll be fun. The garden becomes an excuse to do that. I'm delighted to share that it looks like these Hascap berries, I don't know if these are the Polar Jewels or which ones they are anymore. I kind of lost track of their tags, but we've got lots of berries forming on here, and this was just loaded with flowers nice and early in the season. So this is a really great early season bush for our pollinators, as it turns out. Very excited. But I recall from previous years, I kind of got to get under to find everything, and actually if we get out an under, do you see all of those fruit starts on there? Glorious. Fantastic. So now it'll just be a matter of racing the birds, but that's fine, I can share. Oh yeah, very nice. So here you can see most of the rest of the peppers that I've got. They still need to get into the ground, and this one here desperately needs a little watering today, so I'll have to get on that before too much later. But most of them are surviving, coming outside fairly well. I have lost 3, maybe 4 out of them so far, which is really not too bad. Some of the dungeon peppers have been filtered or sifted into there. Here are a couple of the others. You know, just remember, not that long ago these things were literally frosted with aphids, so to see them at all growing is fantastic. Here's that I'm in no rush cream. Lots of growth at the bottom. Maybe we'll see something from it this year. Who knows? That pepper kind of just amuses me at this point. Love the little solar powered gnome. It's gotten tucked in there for now. But we've still got these tomatoes here that need to be planted out, and I've got lots more digging to do, you know? Lots and lots of digging. Up front we've got the early transplant peppers. The lemon hab here. Still doing better of the two, but not looking fantastic. It almost, I don't know, maybe it gets too hot here. Caribbean red seems to have dropped most of its original leaves. We've got a lot of new growth in there. Might be flower buds at the end of the finger, hard to tell. I threw one of the tomatoes in here on the corner just for a little variation, and pulled a lot of the old cardboard and the weeds and stuff out of here, because occasionally still kind of think about maybe I'll just throw the cabbages in here. Clearly this has got a lot of nitrogen, right? Everything grows, but such a strange place to be growing cabbage. I was also toying with maybe throwing in some climbers, you know, because I've got a couple pieces of fencing, like it's an old wire fencing I could just put around there, plant some peas along there, or I don't know, whatever I'm going to do, I better do it soon though. Definitely need to sand or sift that out. And if anybody has any advice on killing roses, yeah, would love to get some suggestions there. Right now my favorite idea for that one involves the chain, the Jeep, and well, a whole lot of gasoline. I am not a huge fan of roses. If you want to find out why, check out some of the early years videos. There were 16 to 20 rose plants on our little tiny property, and they were evil. They took over everything, and they were constantly attacking us. It was horrible. I'm feeling a little neighborhood pressure to mow the lawn. You may have noticed the sounds of the symphony of yard maintenance equipment going on. But that makes sense, you know, it's not too hot, not too cold, a really good day for it. So yes, I think I will probably get to doing that. If you're still with me at this point over all the years and after all the babble, thank you so much for being a part of the journey, and I look forward to hopefully carrying this on with a better quality camera in the very near future. So let's hope for a speedy delivery and for files that my old computer can process. All right, much love everybody, and I'll see you next time. Take care.